This is Hashtag Channel, a podcast about Discord with Ben and Steve.
Well, actually, a hashtag means it's a channel.
So, Ben, say it along with me now.
Okay.
It's a very special day, May 6th, 2023.
Oh, what's that?
I swear that I will pay, go ahead, true allegiance to your majesty
What?
and to your heirs, come on, and
What?
successors,
You know, this isn't being...
according
What?
to law. So help me.
Do you know what?
I didn't do it. I didn't finish it. I didn't finish it. It doesn't count.
I love the way that you didn't mention that at all when I was setting up. I bet all day you've just been sitting there going, I can't fucking wait for that. I can't wait. Well, this doesn't get released on May the 6th, Steve.
Let me hurt you even more. I thought of it just now. That's the razor sharp wit that I bring to this program.
Exactly. So did you watch the coronation, Steve?
Nope. I don't even know what time it was on.
It was on this morning at some point.
Did you watch it?
No,
I mean,
I was-
I imagine it has some like historical interest.
I mean,
it's kitsch, right?
so on this, before we get
Everything about your country is kitsch.
it's incredible, isn't it? But it's like there are more food banks than McDonald's in Britain, but we can have a bloody coronation. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess it's a bit cheaper than the last one I've heard. It's only like $50 gazillion this time.
Exactly. Anyway, so Steve, here we are. Brand new show called Hashtag Channel, Steve. This is where we interact with the people on what, Stephen?
Discord.
That's right.
No, don't ask me.
Come on.
Don't ask me.
Come on, I know you had a couple of drinky poos last night.
Oh, man.
But you can tell the audience how they get in on this shebang.
I'm going to guess you're listening to this episode in a future that's been taken over by AI.
Right.
So just like hold your phone out in front of your face and say, take me to the 5 Games for Doomsday Discord.
Yeah.
Of course, instead, you will be taken to the factory that converts people into Soylent Green. But
Tell you what, though, I ain't lying to you. I bet it's good, isn't it?
what, Soylent Green?
Yeah, I bet it's all right.
Why do you think that?
Well, if you had like those protein bars and that, they're great. And I bet it just tastes like that.
I think you get some kind of disease if you eat a person, though, right?
Yeah, you get like that shivering disease, don't
Whatever it is.
you? But you know, they'll sort it out. They'll sort it out in the making of it.
Yeah, they probably like remove or filter out the disease-causing agent.
Exactly. And the point is, right? I mean, there's lots of people.
I
isn't there?
eat delicious food, which means I should taste like the delicious food that I eat.
Well, this is it, right? Corn-fed chicken or whatever.
Chicken, pizza, hamburgers, Doritos, beer, wine.
Have you heard that
whiskey?
Have you heard that witty meme that everyone's a vegetarian
No.
because you are what you eat, and animals eat
Yeah.
vegetables.
Yeah.
Therefore, technically, animals are vegetables. So technically, you're vegetarian.
Oh, the internet.
Isn't it wonderful?
What japes will you come up with next?
QAnon, all those japes. All right, Steve. So for the listeners, we hammered out what this show was going to be
Well,
in the
you-
pub last weekend.
Well, yeah, I mean, we basically came up with a very rough outline that you kind of actually hammered into a proper shape
I did
yourself.
But you know the general idea of this show, Steve.
I just sit there and I shoot out ideas,
So-
and then you refine them.
Tell the audience what this show is.
It's you and me on yet another occasion for no particular reason, just bullshitting around.
Yeah, but this time it's different, isn't it?
Well, this time we're involving the members of the Discord.
Exactly.
This time we're involving you. I'm not pointing at Ben. I'm pointing at the listeners.
the listeners.
The
there they
listeners.
are, sitting out there. So,
5gamesfordoomsday.com,
yeah,
and there's a pinned post at the
Yeah.
top of the page
that's right.
with an invite to the
That's
Discord,
right.
a permanent invite. You can join us now. Well, you can't really join us now because by the time you're listening
Well, we're
to this,
recording this, so it's not live.
Yeah, we'll be
because
doing-
I've got to edit out all the really horrendous things you say. So,
what do you think we're doing right now? Like as the listener is listening to this.
so I released this on Friday at 6 a.m.
Okay.
I'm going to be just waking up in my tent because I'm going on a cycle trip, aren't I? And it'll be the last day of my cycle trip.
Wait, Friday.
Yeah, Friday morning.
Oh, you're going to be back in Berlin Friday night.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we have the weekend.
So we have
together.
the weekend together. Because we didn't spend the weekend together because you're busy doing birthday things with your wife, aren't you?
Well, we're going to hang out tomorrow, right?
That's right. We're going to have schnitzel, aren't we?
That's right. Schnitzlerei or something.
Shall I break my vegetarianism just for a day because it's your birthday? Is it a special enough occasion?
You don't need my permission, and you will anyway.
Yeah, no, I definitely will.
Yeah, you
Anyway, so this is the show where we have an exclusive hashtag channel
Yep.
on the Discord. We pose a monthly topic. You comment, we read out your comments, and then we talk about them, Steve.
Yeah, and all you have to do to participate is join the channel.
Yeah, exactly.
The channel.
The channel.
Hashtag channel. Join the channel.
And before we go on, before we introduce...
Which channel?
It's hashtag channel.
Yeah, which channel?
Hashtag channel.
No, they're all channels, Ben.
Yeah, hashtag channel.
Yeah, but which channel?
Hashtag channel.
Yeah, but okay, so hashtag,
Yeah.
like that's what they put in front of the channel.
Is it?
Yeah, never mind.
Anyway.
Never mind. Let's just get on with it.
So I just want to thank, and I think you should do it. You're good at speeches. So you will have heard the bumper to this show that features someone that is not me and or Steve. Mm-hmm. That is one of the regular contributors, and we didn't pick him out to do the bumper because of his contentious, actually nature on the Discord.
No, not at all.
And it's CD Hunter. Steve, will you tell CD Hunter how happy we are that he contributed to the bumper?
So are we going to refer to him by his nom de Discord?
That's CD Hunter, isn't it?
Like, what is his actual name?
I've no bloody idea.
Hey, CD Hunter. I want to tell you how much Ben and I appreciate
Yes.
your pompous, overwrought philosophy undergraduate minor comments in the Discord. But I don't really have the words that would impress you enough to do so. So I'll just say thanks. Thanks for being there for us.
So, Steve, right, you got a ranking, right?
Yeah.
0 means crapper the rapper.
Yeah.
10 means supery dupery.
Yeah.
Where would you rate the word qua?
You really don't like the word qua,
I don't know what it... No, I don't have no issue with the word qua. I just don't know what it means.
It's, like Latin.
I look it up and I go, oh, I still don't know what it means.
Yeah, it's just it's like a relative pronoun in the ablative case, I suppose.
Right, okay. So, come on. On the scale...
So wait, I'm rating this word. What is this? Sorry, I don't get the
0,
scale. Yeah.
crappy craps. 10, supero dupero.
I think we could do a lot. We could do a lot better than qua.
Duperus.
We could do a lot better than qua, though. I want to see CD Hunter work in like a pari passu or a mutatis mutandis and all that kind of stuff.
Ooh, I don't know what either of those words mean.
Just like drop them into. So CD Hunter, if you're listening, and I know you are, please start littering your Discord messages with all these obnoxious, abstruse Latinisms just to wind up Ben.
And these words that Steve just said, if you know what they are, get in the Discord, tell me what they mean, because I'm not very bright.
You can just look them up in a dictionary.
Yeah, I'm real fucking lazy though, Steve.
You can literally select them with your finger and a dictionary will pop up and tell you.
I started watching 24 again. I started rewatching 24. I ain't got time for that fucking nerd shit. Jack Bauer saving the world.
Once again, Ben makes a comment that is apropos of nothing.
I know what apropos means.
It's a good word though.
After altogether too much thought and consultation with the greatest mind in the world of topics, we present to you
this month's topic.
All right, Steve. So, for this inaugural episode of Hashtag Channel,
the episode that we are going to... God damn it, I can't turn coronation into a verb. You don't coronate, do you? You crown.
You coronate? You crown. Exactly.
Yeah. We're having this. This is the coronation of the show.
So,
as it were.
Do you...
Maybe CD Hunter coronates.
So, can you read that out? Again, the oath.
The whole oath?
Because I think all the listeners should read that, except they should pledge their allegiance to us. So, listeners, repeat after us.
I swear that I will pay true allegiance to Ben and Steve.
There we go.
And to your heirs and successors, according to
I ain't having
law.
no heirs, so you're all right. You're off the hook for my heirs. That's fine.
It says "so help me God" at the end. I mean, should we maybe atheist?
Depends on your definition of God.
We should atheist that up a little bit.
Yeah. So help me, great atheismo.
Yeah. There you go.
Anyway, so we chose as the inaugural topic something, one of your bugbears that you go on about all the time.
Yep. I thought this was a good topic to start with because the listeners love hearing us argue.
Exactly. So, what is the topic?
Is there such a thing as a board game community?
So, as far as I can see, it's completely bloody obvious that there is. Mm-hmm. And it's more obvious than the nose upon your face. And yet, you vehemently claim that this doesn't exist. Would you care
how do I compete?
Clarify
How do I
yourself?
compete with someone who so clearly was like a master in their debating society at school. The forensic talent.
You think my school in Tenbury Wells had a debating
So
society?
your argument is simply to be emphatic and to insult me.
I didn't insult you, did I?
Said something about, well, the nose on my face.
I wasn't calling you big nose.
No, you implied it, I felt like.
How dare you? But are you?
I assume that everything that you're saying is like somehow taking the piss.
Are you a bit sensitive about your nosy woes?
No.
I don't think it's that big.
No.
It's grand. It's
Roman.
Romanesque.
Exactly.
Like the salad.
So what do we mean by community? Just like the dickheads on Twitter who have opinions about things?
Okay.
I mean, is that what we mean?
So
Because we refer to the community like, oh, what is the community going to think? Or the community is saying this about that. And I think it's just very abstract. I mean, we can't even really say who's part of this community and who isn't. Like, we all have our communities where we live in our different places, but is there one single unitary board game community that you can refer to as such, a community qua community, if you will?
yeah, I still don't know what qua means, but so the point is, I think it's self-evident that there is, right?
No, it's not self-evident. Otherwise, why would we be talking like this for 45 minutes?
Well, the point is, right, it seems to me that board gaming especially is not so fractionated as to be...
fractionated?
Is that a word? I'm trying to keep up with you.
Fractionated.
Like how you do petrol, right?
Yeah.
And you have like oil and then piss and then donkeys piss and then monkeys assholes. Yeah. So board gaming is not so fractionated that people just aren't aware of kind of every niche of the hobby, right?
I think that the dickheads that we hang out with, no, I take it back. Even the dickheads we hang out with are not that aware. We are like in a very sort of, I want to say elite group, but I don't mean it in an obnoxious way.
In a qualitative sense.
Yeah, like we are like self-professed board game enthusiasts, but we play games with people all the time who don't keep up with the hobby, as it were.
That's true,
do, right?
That's
they don't
true.
go to Essen. They don't know what the trends are, what's coming out, and they don't care. And I think by and large, most people are like this, and they're not even like us. They're not even like us or the dickheads we hang out with. Especially in Germany, it's a family pastime. So these people, they go out and buy games, they play them with their family, and they could give a fuck about any community.
So the point is, communities, right, by their very nature, and CD Hunter loves a definition. So by their very nature, they're in-group, out-group, right?
I guess. I mean, there are definitely cliques within the board game world.
And so a broad board game community can encompass. So I guess what I'm trying to say is there are lots of people who dip their toe in occasionally, play it at Christmas. And I wouldn't say they're part of the board game community. They have no kind of vested interest in the art form, particularly apart from doing it, once or twice a year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just hard to come up with a solid definition for this.
Like I'm not part of the opera community, right? But I go to the opera maybe once a year. But I certainly don't have enough interest in the development of the art form or any desire to keep up with, who's big and who's not within the art form. But I think there are people within board games, most of the people we play with have an interest in that, no?
I mean, I don't know. Even if they did, I don't know that means that there is such a thing as a larger community that everybody somehow participates in. Our friend Teresa once, I was talking to her about, this is going to be really, really on the nose. We were talking about plants. How should you keep your plants? Directly in a pot, or you keep them in the plastic container that they came in and put that inside of a different pot?
Okay.
And I asked her about this because I've heard different opinions, and she told me, yeah, the planting community is divided on this one.
Okay, why?
Like the community of people who have houseplants, or like this self-selected group of really super hardcore plant people who actually go on online forums and debate it and talk about it on Reddit and cancel each other on Twitter if they actually fucking put the plant directly in the pot.
Okay, so I'm going to pull back and talk about first principles on this, right?
It's very Silence of the Lambs.
So, we live in an age in which the primary forms of media, their sort of modus operandi is to...
There you go.
Is to atomize us, right? Is to pull us apart, is to put us into our little cocoons with our significant other or our small family group, so we give our full attention to those things, right? And this is just against our hardwiring, right? We are a gregarious species. And so what you have seen with the onset of the internet is people really getting into shit. And then I think what you dip your toe into something and you see a community forum, a community post, a YouTube channel, and you really get into it. And not only do you get into it, but you seek others who are into it as much as you are, right? That's a community, no?
I don't know. I mean, is it a community? Like, how is it functionally a community? I mean, you seek out others, but we seek out others in person, locally, at our local game night.
Sure.
And occasionally you go to boardgamegeek.com and read a forum or make a post or something like that. Is that a strong enough premise for a community?
All right, so I'm going to read out CD Hunter here. He's featured quite a lot in this first episode.
Yeah, he gets to go first.
So he says, I can't do the accent. Well, I guess the question is whether the community...
Oh, he's from South Africa?
Yeah, that's right. I guess the question is whether community in the sense of people I live near and interact with in the real life. I'm reading out the typo there. Because I copied and pasted it from the Discord, so I didn't write this out.
Yep.
I guess the question is whether community...
You would use the Latin word seek, thus, to indicate that you are transcribing something as it was originally rendered.
Exactly, thus. I guess the question is whether community in the sense of people I live near and interact in the real life is equivalent to an online grouping of people with similar interests.
So I want to be clear that I'm not making an argument about like online communities being legitimate communities or not. I don't think I would go that far to argue against it. Yeah. I this is not the point I'm trying to make. The last time I remember we really got into this argument, I think we were talking to Uli, who, by the way, has the strongest point in the entire
That's right. We'll get to that.
Yep. I said that it seemed to me that there was a community among the publishers because there aren't that many by and large, and they all seem to know each other.
Sure.
And I thought, well, maybe that could qualify as a community, like the publishing community. But as far as like a larger board gaming community, it just seems to me like very hard to define like what that is, who's part of it. And how do you even like define it without coming across as elite in the bad sense, right? The people who are like self-selected masters of the board game media sphere, like yourself.
Right. Well, I want to ask you a question here. Again, sort of going back to sort of first principles. I think I know my answer, and I assume you will agree with me. So do you see a qualitative interest in the community of people you hang around with face to face and members of an online group?
Do I see a
qualitative interest? Is one more
interest?
A qualitative difference.
Oh, difference.
Is one more nourishing for you? Does one have a greater impact on your life? Is one just for the animal that we are better or no?
Oh, I don't know. I think this probably different people will think different things. I don't participate that much in online board game communities.
I'm not talking specifically board games. I'm talking about sort of online communities and face-to-face communities.
Oh, man. I think at different points in my life, I probably got something from online versus offline communities. When I was a teenager, well, I guess I've always had both. Lately, I haven't had too much of an online community. Have you?
Only the Discord, really. Well, no, it's not true. It's not true. So what's fascinating is running a podcast means that people interact with your work and they speak to you about it. And through a similar interest. So
we have a 5 games for Doomsday community.
Right. But that has come out of a broader board game community, right? And so what's fascinating with the whole board games thing, I think part of the reason I'm coming into sort of my 11th year of sort of being really serious about this thing. And I've never really been into something as much as this that you would call a hobby ever in my life, right? And I think part of the reason is the community, is that through a mutual interest in something, I have found genuine friends. So I think of you. I think of Uli. I think of Tony. I think of Isaac. I think of Johnny Pack. I think of Marios. I think of, this group of people, some people that have come into my life and exited my life, but some people that have been consistent.
Oh, fuck no, I'm thinking of Marios.
and that...
This is your community, right?
Sure.
And everybody probably has their community.
But it's like walking into. So if you think of it in terms of walking into a place where people have a similar interest and you're able just to pick up a conversation with them about something that isn't challenging or weird or awkward because you have that same interest. That's a community, though.
I don't know. I mean, you could go to Washington Square Park in New York City right now and sit down and play chess with somebody.
Sure.
If you know the rules, you can play chess anywhere in the world. I don't know if that makes it a chess community per se. Although I think there really is a global online backgammon community. I've heard of this.
Oh, I'm sure there is. I mean, there's a community for everything.
I think it's very hard for human beings to like really think in like a global sense, because community to most people, naively speaking, probably means like the number of people I could conceivably have relationships with who live right next to me. Like the village, the town, the neighborhood, whatever, like my local community in my physical space. It's very hard to extend this, first of all, online, but we can and we have done. But then further into like this sort of abstraction, like anyone who participates in a thing I participate in is now part of this community. Does it really have any like functional meaning at that point?
Okay, so Dagda says, where do you think Dagda's from? Where'd you say Dagda's from?
I mean, all your fans are from the UK or Australia, right?
So where's he from in Britain? Let's say he's from Britain. Where's he from?
I'm supposed to guess that by looking at the name Dagda?
Just yes and it.
Wales?
Oh, lovely.
Okay, got it.
Is a group of people you choose to be a part of, example online, less of a community than one you can't choose and are forced to a degree to interact with, example, neighbours. Does a community need to have a gatekeeper, which may be an in-group, that has to agree that you are part of the community, or can you just declare yourself to be part of it?
Hey, interesting question. So my building,
Yeah.
everyone who lives in the building, once a year there's a meeting
That's right.
for all of the people who live in the building. I have not attended this meeting yet myself, but this is kind of like, it is a community.
Right.
It's not a community that like is a lot of lulz for me.
Sure.
And I have no choice but to be a part of it, even if I never even participate at all. Maybe this is the kind of community he's talking about.
Yeah. I mean,
And you certainly couldn't get in. Like you can't walk off the street and join this
No.
community, right?
but it's a very specific community, right? So I guess our community's self-policing in that way.
They can be.
I mean, I guess it's a really difficult question to ask. Is being part of the board game community?
What makes someone part of it? I
Well,
mean,
this is the
it's like
point,
the
right?
barrier to entry is very low.
He asked the question here: does a community need to have a gatekeeper which sort of stamps your pass as being part of the community, or can you just declare yourself to be a part of it?
I think it must depend on the community. I mean,
Absolutely.
there are loads of communities that are clearly exclusive.
So we've seen today
Country clubs, academia,
the Privy
sciences.
Council. I
Yeah,
can't be
yeah.
part of the Privy Council community.
You dare to dream. Should we do the oath again?
We've already done it. I assume all the listeners have already said it.
Yep.
And now, did you know that contractually obliges them to tithe me 10% of their money?
10%.
Yeah.
We're finally going to hit the goal.
And CD Hunter,
Yep.
he's a lawyer.
That explains the quaz and the Latin and the superciliousness.
So I reckon, like, he's fucking creaming.
Yeah.
You need
but-
10% of that.
But like Krugerrands, right? They're not.
Yeah,
they're not
Australian drachmi. Yeah.
worth, they're not worth that much.
So it's like he probably makes 500,000.
Yep.
And that's probably like £3. Isn't
yeah,
it?
that's why he's never visited us in Berlin, right?
That's
You
true.
can't buy a plane ticket with that kind of money.
Yeah. So okay, I'm going to ask you something now. Do you feel like within board games you are part of a community?
I feel like this is a setup. It never really occurs to me.
No, it's just a legitimate question.
I
I'm
have-
not trying to win an argument here.
I have my local friends that I play games with. I've got Rudy's. Rudy's is technically a community center, right?
Yeah.
Like located in the physical space for the people of that area, more or less. I don't think of it in terms of like being a community though. Over time, I've met more people. It's like I know more people in the board game world, if I can use that word. Are they a community though? Because I think when you talk about a community, and here now I can like shift to your side of the argument a little bit. I mentioned on the Discord the book Imagined Communities by Benedict Anderson,
Right.
which is about the nation state and what makes a nation and nationalism, right? And the idea presented in this book is something like, when I wake up in the morning and I read a newspaper about what's going on in the nation, I can imagine many other people who I don't know and never met and never will meet doing the same thing.
Right.
And I think modern journalism actually has a lot to do with the creation of the nation state as a meaningful political entity where you can actually feel like you have something in common with people you've never met.
Sure.
So if you look at a community in that sense, then I think that your argument, there's more grist for your mill. However, I don't think in the case of the board game community, so-called, that there's a single narrative that everybody is aware of. Whereas in the case of like news media, I mean, this is the argument in imagined communities. It was much less fractious back then. Everyone, like today is a good example. Everyone in the world knows that your King Charles III is being crowned, right?
That's right.
And everyone in the UK is aware of it, and like they know that other people are aware of it, and you're all supposed to watch it together and do the oath together.
That's right.
And
Definitely did it as well.
And this is what makes you all wake up in the morning every day and realize that you are part of this thing called the United Kingdom.
Right.
I don't know if there is a comparable thing for board games to that. Because we don't all know that, the next Uwe Rosenberg game is coming out. We're all aware of it. We all care. It's like,
no, but we don't know certain events that happen within our nation either, right?
yeah.
So
But the nation is a much stronger concept than community in this sense.
I think so. Nationhood is definitely a more stronger concept. A more stronger concept.
Yeah,
Did you hear that?
That's good. That's good. I mean, it actually has like political valence.
Yeah. Well, the point is, it also seems to me to be unshakable, right? It's a permanent thing. Whether
The nation?
a feeling of being from a certain nation. So part of the reason
I would say it's historically contingent, Ben, but I'll let City Hunter take
indeed.
this one up.
But so when Brexit happened, of course, there was the discussion about what do you do, right?
This is funny because what actually changed from one day to the next?
Well,
Like
lots of
juridically speaking, things changed, but like basically people's mentality changed.
actually lots of little things have changed in my life, but they'd be too long to list.
But you know what I mean? In reality,
Sure.
we all woke up one day and we don't imagine the UK anymore as being part of the EU.
Right. But what's fascinating is I was thinking about becoming German.
So you're going to like criticize people constantly,
Yeah.
lose your sense of humor,
Yeah.
eat boring food. You can't have spicy food anymore. You like spicy food.
That's true. But the big thing was, and until this changes sometime this year, people are promising, I would have to relinquish my British citizenship, right?
I mean, you can't vote anyway, so what good is it?
I know, but and this is completely irrational. It's completely irrational.
Oh, but you feel an attachment.
Yeah, but the thought of dispensing my
No matter
British
where you go,
citizenship-
you still believe yourself to be part of.
Right.
Yeah.
So certainly the board game community is not that. I can imagine a day where I no longer play board games, I no longer have board games, I no longer participate in community activities. Certainly the sense of nationhood is gives you, well, for me at least, and I would say majority of people, a stronger sort of bond, something it's not an opt-in community in the same way that, a hobby community is. I don't think that makes them any less of a community, though.
Well, I want to refer to my comment, which is
Okay.
next. And my argument is
Can I do it?
you're going to do it in some like funny
Perfect.
faux American accent that's meant to take the piss, aren't you?
No, this is an impression of you.
Why don't you do your actual best? You're an actor. You're a professional performer. Why don't you put some of your talent into this for a change?
Okay, go on then. I'm going to read it now.
My argument is against the idea of there being a general monolithic community to which people refer when they say the community. I don't think that exists, man.
See, what did you think of that? I thought that was really good.
I take it all back.
Yeah.
I take it all back.
I'm a bloody impressionist.
God, when you really
When I
want to
try.
excel, yeah.
So I was doing it for lols before, but you asked me to
Yeah.
be serious.
No,
then
I'm
was
sorry.
serious.
I'm sorry. I apologize for my previous statements. You are a consummate professional.
So it's interesting that you say my argument is against there being an idea of a general monolithic community.
Like the community, right?
Okay. But, so I've been wanting to ask you this for about 10 minutes and it's just gone into my head and it hasn't disappeared out of my head a second later.
Okay, you're a middle-aged man. We better just do this now.
Right. when you go to Essen, now I know everyone doesn't go to Essen, but everyone who I would consider to be part of the board game community is aware of the existence of Essen, right? When you walk in there, that sort of unalloyed mecca to the art form of board games, do you not feel part of something that you could call monolithic, great, big? Do you not? Because I mean, I certainly do.
What do I feel a part of when I go to Essen? I mean, this just could be a matter of enthusiasm, but you are begging the question, right? Like,
oh, absolutely.
I don't know. I think Essen is like fucking mostly day trippers.
True.
There's definitely like a scattering of us, and it's funny. We see each other, passing in the halls, but I don't think by and large that's most people at Essen. This is the point I'm trying to make. Like, board gaming it's a consumer product and it's an industry, and a lot of people just buy them and play them with their families or even with their friends, and they don't participate in any larger thing. So, I mean, it could be that there is a board game community and we are a part of it, but most people who play board games aren't and don't care and never will.
That's true. Most people.
And then we're back to the kind of like elitist statement.
Well, so elitist. I don't think is a good.
It's just highly like disseminated, right? It's not a central thing like the nation we were saying before.
Well, you're implying that there needs to be some sort of central government.
No,
some sort of central authority that deems a community a community, and that's clearly not true. Right?
But you think of a town square, right? Does board gaming have a town square? You might say Board Game Geek.
Board Game Geek. I think is absolutely the board gaming town square.
You might say that, and
it's not Twitter because they're all knobheads. But
it's like it's arguable, right? I mean, probably a lot of board gamers don't pay attention to Board Game Geek that much.
So
please.
Uli Blay. What does Uli Blay say?
He's got the closing argument in this whole conversation, as far as I'm concerned. You're right, boomer ellipsis.
Oh, it is a boomer ellipsis, yeah. They love them, don't they, boomers?
Yeah.
What is it with boomer ellipses?
I don't, Uli, what is it with? Is he going to hear this?
I doubt he'll listen.
You should just send him a link or something.
Yeah, send him.
Or what we should do is we should drive out to his house in the Teutoburg Forest and get like a massive speaker and just like blare it at him.
What we should do is download this podcast onto a C90 and then mail it to him, and he might actually listen to it.
Maybe an 8-track.
Anyway, so Kind Fortress says, and I know Kind Fortress, so he's from South Carolina, so I can do that accent.
Do you remember when he explained to us where he came up with the name Kind Fortress?
Yeah.
God, it was a very long explanation.
It's some game he designed, I think. He's famed board game designer Isaac Shalev.
Yeah. It's just I thought it was gonna be like a very quick answer, and he kind of like went on for a while, and I stared into the distance and stopped listening, so I don't remember.
I just remember something like meh, 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 at some point. So he says, so I can do the accent. He's from South Carolina, so he definitely sounds like this.
Yeah, he's from South Carolina.
Yeah,
even though he lives in North Carolina.
That's right. The community exists, as do many others. When we refer to the community, we're largely talking about a visible subset of people who are active on social media, gay, and even in local gaming communities.
Gay is what a person from...
someone from South Carolina would say.
Okay.
We are the alpha gamers. They set and reinforce norms about gameplay and its social fabric quite successfully, such that participating in a gaming group or event is nearby the same experience in Portland, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Portland, Maine, or Porto, Portugal.
Yeah, I like how he worked in Porto there for us.
So that's interesting.
Your friends in the board game snobs are going to be super offended by that, by the way.
Hey,
I hope they're not listening.
I hope they're not listening. So that's an interesting thing. So the point I think we should focus on here is, you've gamed in Merkur,
yeah,
Germany,
yep,
Portugal,
yep,
the UK. You haven't been to the UK Games Expo, have you?
I haven't been to I did live in London for a while, but I don't know that I played a board game when I was there.
So do you think he's right that essentially what the community has done is ensured that you get a sort of consistent gaming experience wherever you go?
Okay, I mean, you're really setting me up here, because if I say that he's wrong, the next time we see him, I'm going to have to deal with him explaining to me for the next 3 hours why he isn't. But I mean, as usual, in all seriousness, Isaac makes very cogent points.
He does.
He's a trenchant thinker, Ben.
I don't know any of these words.
And I think this is more or less the point we were just making a moment ago, right? If there is a community, this is about as much as it is, right? It's not as if there's like major controversy in the board game community and like people in the community are saying this and have an opinion about that. It's more like, when you go to these events, it's the sort of same type of people that you see at all the other events. And like you were saying before, you can fit right in very easily because you speak the language, you understand the patois of games. But I don't know if it makes a community. I mean, at a certain point, the word just loses meaning to me.
So Nits. So I thought her name was Nits and Mistress.
Yep.
But it's not. I actually read it when I was putting these notes together, and it's Nits amid trees. Amidst trees.
Yep. Nits amidst trees.
It's very. I mean, she could have chosen a username that's not so difficult to say.
Must be on purpose.
So I picked this out. Nits amidst trees. Where do you think she's from?
Well, that's very
Somerset, probably, isn't she?
I mean, it's a very like twee kind of name.
Yeah,
so definitely from your country.
Yeah. So I like the way she opens this bit. I would disagree with At Kind Fortress that being a consumer is enough. Going to Michael's and buying yarn does not make you a member of that community.
Wait a minute, do you have Michael's in the UK?
No, what is Michael's?
Michael's is like a craft store in America.
Oh, she's definitely American.
So you can go there and you can buy like yarn and paper and clay and whatever you want to do to like arts and crafts type things.
Oh, I'll change the accent then. I would disagree with That Kind Fortress that being a consumer is enough. Going to Michael's and buying yarn.
What accent is that?
Oregon or something?
Okay, good.
Going to Michael's and buying yarn does not make you a member of that community, and neither does going to Target and buying a game make you a member of the board game community.
Oof, laying down a gauntlet here. By the way, in America, we pronounce it Target.
Oh, do you?
Well, if we're trying to be funny.
Right.
It's funny, right?
It's hilarious.
Target.
So
because it's fancier than Walmart is the joke.
So I completely agree with that. That buying games does not make you. So she's referring to another post that Isaac made that we haven't read out, but I just like to read it.
I think famed board game designer Isaac Shalev gets plenty of play in this podcast.
Absolutely. So what's interesting though is going to Target and buying a game does not make you part of the board game community.
No.
But if you're someone like Lemoncello,
you could be part of the board game community and never buy a game at all, some people that we know.
Well, absolutely. But like Lemoncello, the way Lemoncello buys board games makes him part of the board
hoarder
game community. Yeah, an absolutely incredible hoarder. Yeah.
I mean, is the opposite also true? Could you just like collect board games, never play them, never talk to anyone else who plays them, and still be part of the community?
So that's a great point. I would say no. I think you can buy loads of games, hoard them, never play them. But if you talk about games, you interact with others about games, whether that be digitally or face-to-face, I think that makes you part of the community. I think, for me, what the center of being part of the community is the interchange of ideas. So I think so this sounds really reductive, and people can disagree with me on this, but so I think if like you and your missus just play games together and never really interact with anyone else in the board game world, even though you play Uwe Rosenberg and Scheffenfeld games and all of that sort of stuff, I don't think you're part of the community in that sense.
But when do I become part of the community? Like the first time I go on Twitter and make some obnoxious remark?
Well, I mean, you can be
fucking wooden cubes in that.
So yeah, I think that's what being a part of a community is, right? Is interacting with others. Essentially, communities are so the reason Rudy's Where We Game is called a community centre is because of the old sense of community. So what Dagda referred to, this idea that you're just thrown into this geographical area with people and they're your community.
And I think this is like easier for us to grok.
But what the internet has done is we build our own little villages, right? We build our own little countries, actually. And within that, we have our own little villages that we dwell in. And I think...
I'm wondering if in the Middle Ages they had like a jousting community, but unfortunately they had no Twitter.
Well, I've been listening to
fucking Sir Dick-a-lot.
I've been listening to a podcast about the Plantagenets, and it seems to me they definitely had...
They had a jousting community.
Jousting nerds and who really liked certain types of equipment and talked about which jousters were great.
Yeah. Did they travel around the continent going to various jousts?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it was a spectator sport, but there were definitely groups of knights who did that, right?
Knights perhaps. I don't know exactly. I mean,
so I think it's
it's not like they had a league or something.
No, but they definitely had
tournaments.
Yeah, they had tournaments. But I think that's what makes a community. If you get out there and you talk and you dissect and you take an active interest in the particular field, that to me defines a community. And therefore, I think board gaming most definitely has a community.
I think the first time that this argument came up between the two of us, it was in the context of referring to the community as if it is this large body of interconnected people,
right?
That kind of has its own narrative or discourse or opinions, or like I keep saying, like hot topic in the community. And I don't think that exists. So I probably fall somewhere on the side of somewhere between what Isaac is saying and my point about this imagined space where we understand that there are other people who are into the thing that we're into and doing the thing that we're into. But now I'm wondering, is it useful to think of this, or are we just making way too much out of a dumb conversation we had 3 years ago?
So,
is it worthwhile to think of a board game community as a thing and refer to it?
I will explain to you why it's valuable for me.
God, it always comes back to you.
So the reason I say this is because it's very difficult. As we've been going for 41 minutes now, and it's clear generalizations will not suit, right? But that point you make, is it useful to think of a community? For me, 100%. Because it gives value to what I do work-wise. Because I feel I'm serving a community with the work that I produce. So that's important.
The community of people who listen.
Yes, but also the hope is that people who are in the board game community will also be able to derive something from that because they have a connection to what I do. Also, in the dark tea time of the soul, at 3:00 in the morning, it's sometimes... So I've just moved into a new room. And I'm surrounded now for the first time in 2 years by my game collection. And I kind of can't tell you how comforting that is to have all of my games out.
How often do you swivel around and just stare at them?
Yeah, I do. And it's weird and it's nonsense, right? But the reason is because these shelves of games are potential to connect to other people. Being part of this community, being into it and giving a shit about it is valuable.
But why do you need a community for that?
Because I'm a gregarious animal that needs other people.
So for you, it's important that you can imagine there are others out there like you who share the same passion and enthusiasm.
Right.
I mean, for sure that's true. I think all I'm saying is I don't think there's a community. So then what we're trying to say is there are lots of people who share this hobby with us, and they all form somehow part of what? A world, a group of... I don't know how to define it.
So what is a great word for a sort of nebulous group of people that
don't-
come together that all have an interest in the same thing? What is a good word? What word would you use?
I walked right into that.
What word would you use?
Yeah, I walked right in. I walked right into that. I just wouldn't call it community because I don't think there is a board game community. There are people who play board games, there are people who enjoy the hobby, but this is the point I want to close on. Unlike with the imagined community of the nation, there isn't this kind of single unitary narrative, unless it's the unitary narrative that is dictated to us by the Kickstarter campaigns and the publishing schedules of the board gaming companies. You could say, though, that there is much more of a community than just that because of all of the media that's being created by people like yourselves, other podcasts. There are also board game magazines. So, I mean, there's something there. Maybe you could call it a community. It doesn't feel right to me to call it a community because I don't like the idea that there is a board game community that has some set of opinions and like that we need to even like worry about it, right? Like, what is the community going to think? Because there's also a dark side to the community.
Absolutely.
You know,
there is an inherent conformity.
Yeah.
And a tyranny of the mob with
Yeah.
community that we've seen. And also the problem of opting into a community.
You
is
never
then
want to
can be-
offend the
You can be
community.
removed from the community.
yeah,
right?
exactly. So this is kind of why I pull back a little bit.
So one thing I would say, just to wrap this up, is I'm very happy and proud to be part of this community. But if I don't win the Golden Geek next week, the lot of you can fuck off.
In an act of willful competition, we present our
Poster of the month. All right, Steve. So, as it's the inaugural episode, as it was your topic, I'm going to allow you to choose our poster of the month.
poster of the month on this
You're
topic.
not allowed to choose yourself.
I wasn't going to.
Good.
On this topic,
On this topic,
is there a board game community?
yes, from this topic, from the hashtag channel.
I mean, there is clearly only one obvious choice in
Okay.
this whole discussion.
Okay.
He's the only one who made a clear, concise argument that we can all agree with.
I know where this is going.
Poster of the month is the one, the only, Uli Blenneman.
Uli Blenneman, you are this month's poster of the month. That was our poster of the month. All right, so just to wrap up, 2 minutes, Steve. I've got a bullet pointed list here, and I want to go through it, and then we can get out of this farrago. So, how'd you join the Discord?
Oh, God, this again. Is it 5 spelled out, right?
Yep.
Five.
I'm very
5.
consistent with my branding. Yep.
Yeah, except on Twitter, you use the number
Yeah.
5.
They have a limit. What
Do you
can I
think maybe Elon Musk changed that by now? You should check.
I don't, maybe. I should
Somebody
check.
might be squatting on the 5 spelled out.
That's true. I ain't going to pay him for it.
Better jump on that before this episode goes out.
Right.
Someone's going to claim it. Yeah. So you go to 5
Yeah.
games for Doomsday spelled out.com, not 5 games for Doomsday spelled out.com. You spell out the numbers in the name 5 games for Doomsday, and then you go to 5gamesfordoomsday.com.
That's right.
There's a pinned post at the top of the page
Yeah.
using pinning post technology of some
That's
kind.
right.
I don't
I
understand
worked
it.
out how to do it.
I work
Our
in IT.
mutual friend Sanya taught me how to do it.
Yeah, I work in IT and I don't understand it at all. But you can follow the link or whatever, and it's a permanent invite.
Yeah, you can just join the server.
Party, and
So-
then go to the channel, which is
Hashtag channel.
yeah. Well,
It just says channel.
yeah,
Because
just-
hashtag means channel.
hashtag is our don't. It's not 2 hashtags, and it's not the word hashtag spelled out.
No, it's just
It's channel. Just
Anyway, so secondly, Stephen, how do you support the show? If you've listened to this and thought, wow, these guys know their onions.
hugs.
No, I don't. Firstly, I don't like hugs because I'm British. Secondly, I want to come in that hard, cold medulla.
Plaudits. How do you feel about
I
plaudits?
like plaudits, actually.
Yeah, I
I mean,
think
it's
you do
not
like
as good as
plaudits.
money, but plaudits are a close second.
Yeah, well, if you want to give Ben something other than hugs and plaudits, then you should go. Oh God, this again. Why do you make me do this every time?
Because you're great at it.
Patreon.com
Yeah.
/ hang on a second. Is it spelled out?
No.
Okay. The number 5 games, no, it's not.
No,
It's not spelled
short,
out.
It's short version. It's the
5
anachronized.
5G for D.
There we go. Patreon.
So you have 3 different ways of doing this?
Yeah, dude.
It's very confusing. It's very confusing.
So I need a brand manager. Patreon.com/5G4D. And I just want to say before we bow out.
To listen to this, you already have to be a Patreon.
No. This
don't.
is on the main.
Oh,
feed.
otherwise, why would we be telling them?
Exactly.
Yeah, good point. $5 a month, and you get to listen to the battle
Hundreds
reports
of hours.
and other things.
And do you know what you get to listen to?
What?
The last battle report where I had a little nervous breakdown, Stephen.
It was great. You're great.
So I just want to say thank you to everyone who contributed. And if you join the Discord, you can contribute too and feature in the next episode of Hashtag Channel. And yeah, so Stephen, thank you.
Thank you, Ben. You know, I don't really know for sure if there is or isn't a board game community, but for sure, you are the only community that I need.